Hi there. So I'm Sandra Parker, and what I'm going to do now is my favorite part of my job, where I get to chat to a fabulous client, in this case, somebody that's now actually helping me support other people. So I'm going to be catching up with Siobhan and talking to her about the last couple of years when she first decided to take action, her challenges with alcohol, and where she's at now. So, first of all, Siobhan, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Excellent. So it's been a couple of years since we first started working together. How long are you alcohol free for now?
I was alcohol free for 2 years on the 3rd of June, so that was that July and a few weeks. So yeah.
Two
So
years plus, that's fabulous. So if we cast our mind back to a couple of years ago, so before it's been an interesting journey.
yeah,
Lots of fun things to remember. So if you think about when you first reached out to me, tell us a bit about how much you were drinking and why you wanted to change.
I was drinking a lot, upwards of a bottle of wine a night. I'd probably start off with, a couple of beers and then have a bottle of wine. And then at the weekend, a bottle of wine would be open a second bottle of wine. Excuse me. And yeah, so it had increased over the years. Looking back now, I've always I always drank a lot when I did drink. So, but it had just got to the home drinking as well as drinking a lot when going out. So I'd come in from work, and 6 o'clock, I'd have a beer, and then maybe have another beer, and then think, oh, that ingredient in whatever it was I'm making demands wine. Of course, it doesn't really, but in retrospect, but yeah. So it was the wine. It was the state, being at home in the evenings. My husband works shifts, and the children were young. The children would go to bed, and it would start then. But then the hour became earlier, and the amount increased. So um, I'd got sick and tired of being sick and tired when I reached out to you, Sandra, and I think that was exact words that I used to you on our breakthrough call. So that's what brought me
Where
to
you're
justice.
at?
I,
Yeah.
I work wise, I was, functioning, getting up, going to work, doing work things, but my performance had deteriorated. I just felt exhausted all of the time. So it was time to just do something, and do something I did.
Thank you. So you got on the call, right, and we had a conversation. I remember we had two conversations. So when you decided to put your trust in me, I guess, when we both decided to work together, like how did that feel? Were you confident that this was going to work? Were you nervous? What was it like?
I was nervous. I was really nervous. But excuse me, it had come up on my Facebook feed, and it had just come up on a Sunday afternoon. I was at home, I was alone, and I just thought, hit the button. And I watched the webinar, and I booked the breakthrough call, and I was nervous. I thought, crikey, I'd done I'd listened to podcasts, and I'd signed up for the alcohol experiment, I think 3 times, and got to about the third day and thought, well, I'll pick this up again tomorrow, and it never happened. And so yes, I was nervous, but I knew I had to do something not big. I needed to do something where there was accountability, where there was support, and where there was and it was clear support. This is what we and you had made it very, very clear. And so I put my trust in you, and that's how it happened. But I was nervous, but I did it, and I'm very glad.
Um, and so you signed up, and then you joined so you got access to the modules, and then you joined the WhatsApp group. When you think back, what was it like being, so I talk about it being a select group, and where there's like-minded people and also people at different stages. So you see the people in the final month and you see how they're alcohol free. When you think about your early experience of the group, what was that like for you?
I was nervous. I thought, crikey, you know, little old me in amongst all of these people. But the support from the group was incredible. And seeing people at the end of their journey saying to me, this was me at the start. That was the big difference, because they could see themselves in me, or almost, you know, if that makes sense. That
Yeah.
And it gave me the confidence and the belief, not straight away, but it gave me hope that, okay, I could look at them, they can do this. They've been alcohol free for so many days. Look at somebody else. I mean, Laura, Deirdre, and Becky, they were all further on than me, but they also don't just stick with it. Follow the process, trust the process, trust the group, reach out to the group, and then, you know, the mindset shift will start to change. And they were absolutely right. And it was having that support, you know, the coaching from yourself, the modules, and doing the unpicking of the years and years of conditioning, and being told this isn't your fault. That was a big one. You know, there's marketing, there's social stuff, there's expectation, there's social expectation. It's what we do. You know, there's a celebration, we pop a cork, someone dies, we pop a cork. Everything is, you know, our whole lives have had alcohol instilled into it. And that's over many, many, many years. So having it taken out over a number of weeks, obviously there's ongoing work to do and there's maintenance, but and week by week, I could see the progress. I could feel myself changing. I could feel the confidence growing. And as alcohol became less and less of a factor in my life, other things crept in, better things crept in. Waking up in the morning, not feeling like with my mouth at the bottom of a bird cage, for example, is always a bonus. Not having anxiety. Oh my God, who did I text last night? What did I do? Having all of those things creeping in, it was like this is all. It was like it was all new again, and it was great. Having energy, having confidence, not having anxiety, not having and stress. Stress just lifted, and I just got this new belief in myself that I could do this.
That's great. I love that. And when I think about some of those early Zoom calls, what was great is, you know, one of the things I said to you that I say to everyone on the first call is there's certain traits people need to have for this to work, right? So I know the process works if people are willing to do the work. And one of the things is to be coachable. And you definitely were. Like, I can remember some of the early calls where you came on the Zoom call and I could see that you were feeling sad, like, and you were finding it tough, but there was like that determination that you were going to make sure that you'd done the work. Like, when you think back then, and I remember, like, you know, getting support from other people in the group, at what point do you think you started feeling like, I remember you described yourself as a coiled spring, right? When did that start feeling like it had gone?
I'd say about week, not gone. It started shifting about the second or third week, because I could begin to see changes. I could little shifts, little changes, little new things coming in, little things coming out. But by about week 7, I think the coiled spring had absolutely gone. I'd got this. This is great, you know, and I could feel the change. I could feel the shift. I wasn't alcohol free completely by that point. I was alcohol free by that point, but it was when I actually stopped drinking completely was, I felt absolutely great. But I'd got to, through the modules, I'd got to that particular point. I'd got the coaching and the support, and the belief had been instilled. And it was around that point that I just thought, I can do this. I really can do this. And it's not that I can do this because this is what I've signed up to do. I can do this because I'm doing this for me. And I feel a massive change. I feel different. I feel great. And it was that. And it lifted the whole stress, anxiety, self-doubt, shifted and was replaced with energy, belief, wanting to do better, striving to do better, and just try and making small changes brought big shifts in the positivity in my life.
That's amazing. I mean, if I think about like the differences, I think it's great to look at all the different things that have changed for you, right, since you've become alcohol free. So if we look first of all, like at your career. So when you and I first started working together, you were off work with depression, and you mentioned that you hadn't been doing well in your job. So tell us a bit about where you were at in your career and then what's changed since.
So I started my job I got my degree when I was 40. So that was something that I wanted to do. And I drank all the way through doing my degree. So I started for a big company about 8 years ago. I was doing okay. I was, reasonably well, but booze had crept into such a point that it was impacting me. I mean, we blame a lot of things on menopause, and I was no different. And I'd been demoted at work, and that was pretty soul destroying. So that, I think, was a big catalyst for me to make the change. But so I wasn't in a great place. COVID had hit, so working from home and into a new role, and my confidence had been absolutely battered. So it was. So I wasn't in a particularly marvelous place in my path of life. And everyone on the outside saw upbeat Siobhan. Oh, Siobhan, she's always, she's there. She'll help you out. She'll, support you, and she's always a great laugh. Always got a smile on her face. But inside, I was absolutely pretty destroyed, and and that had to change. I had to change that, for my family, for my children, but most of all for myself. I knew that there was more inside of me, and I just had to make some changes in order to make that happen.
I understand. And I remember, some of the challenges you faced with like making sure you went back to work when you felt okay. What was it like? Like how, like tell us where you're at now in your career and how you got from being off work with like depression and being demoted to where you're at now.
Well, okay, alcohol free. Then we all went back into the office, and I'd got a newfound confidence. I'd got my mental sharpness back. I'd got my clarity back. I got promoted. I'm about to do another promotion. I sometimes sit there in a room full of very clever people, and I think I'm the smartest person in the room. I really believe I'm the smartest person in the room, because the sharpness and the clarity and the confidence that being alcohol free brings spills out. It spills out, and everybody else believes that I'm the smartest person in the room sometimes as well. So we'll see how that pans out. But I just feel that I am on a roll, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to improve, and I'm enjoying my job. I really am genuinely enjoying my job, the people around me, and positivity spills out into other people. So if you surround yourself with mood hoovers, then that's what you get. If you move them aside and shine a little light, and everybody picks up on it, and it's great. I love my job, and I didn't say that 2 years ago.
I mean, that is just like, we talk about transformation, right? But like, that's massive, right? I mean, it's such tangible proof of the difference, right? If you think about if you had carried on drinking, what do you think your career would be like now?
I don't think I'd have one. I really don't think I'd have one. And you know, and that's the truth. Whatever about, you know, what work would have felt about it. I just personally, I was dragging myself, you know, out of bed. I was dragging myself along. You know, there was no spark, there was no energy, there was no zest for life. It was all just like, Christ, here we go again. And so I've got the here we go again out of my system. It's gone. It's like, what's next? It's changed. It's completely turned. What's next?
Yeah, brilliant. And so looking at, I think one of the things that's quite helpful to remember as well is, you know, you've done the 11 weeks in just the tonic, and then you joined Upgraded Life.
Yes.
Right. So how did you feel? So for people like are watching this and they're thinking, right, what results did you get at the end of, so Upgraded Life is our like mastermind project where we where we look to get people like mastery over alcohol and create an upgraded life, right, which you obviously have done. What sort of results did you get looking back now and say, right, where was I at the end of 11? Why did you decide to join Upgraded Life, and what kind of results did you get there?
Okay, so at the end of 11 weeks, I'd been alcohol free for the 30-day challenge, breakthrough, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I'd done 33 days because I was so keen. I decided to start that early. I was just ready. I'd got through the modules, I'd done the mindset work, and I was ready to say, right, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want alcohol in my life anymore. But at the end of the 30 days, it was still not delicate, but you know, it needed maintenance, it needed support, and it was the ongoing group support, the ongoing mindset work, that changing other things, you know, getting control over alcohol is one thing, keeping control over alcohol is the next bit. But in with that, it's what can I do to improve me? What can I do to make my life better? What can I bring in to my life, and what can I leave out? And it's finding that balance, and that's what the Upgraded Life has done and continues to do. It just keeps the mindset, it keeps the good work at the front and center. It keeps at the forward of your mind. How this is getting better all the time. I'm upgrading, and things need to upgrade with me. But it's keeping the mindset and the work and the self-development and self-belief about how great we can all be.
That's so powerful. And if thinking about your work again, like to get that promotion, like I love what you shared with me about at the end of the year and the information that you were putting in your appraisal because you'd been using one of the tools we use in the brag book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the brag book is my I put down 3 brags a day. So the brag book is what it gets introduced around week 3, and we kind of like to celebrate ourselves, which is how I look at it. It's so 3 wins a day. I've achieved. I have done that. I haven't done that. That's a big one. Things that you're quite happy to leave out now because you've upgraded and taken things out. So, but what it does, because when we write things about positive things, we look for positive things around us, and that flows into whatever we do. Whatever we do, you know, we bring positivity to it and confidence and belief. So by doing the brag book, I felt completely confident at my year end to write not an essay about myself, just all of my achievements. I have achieved this, I have changed this, I have done something else, I have improved this, and basically wrote down all the things that I have contributed to my workplace over the previous 12 months that has improved things around us and improved systems, process, whatever, and the team. And you know, I even wrote something about my boss, you know, how fabulous it is to have someone who's supportive and encourages me to do better. I wouldn't have written that down a couple of years ago. I mean, not because I'd just been demoted, but I just wouldn't have written it ever But by looking for the positives and, you know, and passing it on, you've helped me out. You've been very supportive, boss. Thank you. Well done, you. And it just brings that into everybody, and it brings it into your life, and the upgraded life that we started in Just the Tonic, we continue it, and we keep it up, keep it going, because consistency, builds consistency. It does in doing whatever it is we want to do. If we're consistent at things, we'll keep them going. You know, that's the whole how the word works, and it just brings it all to life. It brings it to life.
And then in terms of thinking about your social life, right? So you've got a lot of friends, you like to go out and enjoy yourself. So I know that one of the biggest fears people have is there's two main fears. One is about how to handle a stressful day without having alcohol to take the edge off, right? And the other one is, will I be able to enjoy socializing without alcohol? Will I be bored, or will people find me boring? So you're somebody that lives your life to the full, Siobhan. So tell us a bit about how do you enjoy socializing? How is it different now that you're not drinking alcohol?
Yeah, it is very different, but how to handle a stressful day? Drinking alcohol makes a stressful day a whole lot worse. It really does. So, because it brings anxiety, it brings doubt, it brings fear in, and when you take alcohol out and you wake up feeling good, the day continues to be good. If you start and you're only in first gear, and that's the only gear you're ever going to stay in for the whole day because you're feeling sluggish, that will create stress. So at the end of a stressful day, when you find other things to do, whatever it is, hobbies, different things, walk, exercise, you know, you don't have to pack your day, but you become at peace and at ease because you deal with stuff rather than mask stuff and bury it down. So that's where the stressful day bit, the theory is debunked. And how do I enjoy myself? Excuse me, I still go to the pub. I was at the pub last night, quiz night with my daughter, and didn't win, but you know, there was just the two of us. I still go socializing. Family events and things like that, and I enjoy myself better. I have a better time because I have conversations I remember. I have interesting conversations. I don't drink that, make a fool of myself. That is always great. And having the clear head the next morning is always an extra bonus. But it's to take yourself to an event and leave when you want to. Get in the car, drive home. That's always a winner in some events. But just at peace with yourself and the confidence that it just shines through. And friends notice. And sometimes they say, "Oh, not drinking," and sometimes there's a little bit of envy that they're not joining me, but you know, they're more than welcome to. Heineken Zero is a great one. There's the alcohol-free options have upped their game, and you don't have to sit there with a lemonade and a bag of crisps in the corner like you did when you were 6. You up your game, up your glass game, be one of the grown-ups, but it's not boring. It's far from boring. And that's what people seem to think, that, well, I'm not going to be as much fun. Actually, you're more fun because, when you sit there and you've got a table full of people beside you and they're all sort of like talking over each other, and the volume goes up as the evening goes on, and you're thinking, no one actually has the first clue what they're actually saying to each other.
Yeah.
And and who's going to have the worst head in the morning? Well, it ain't going to be me. Yeah. And it's all of that. There are myths and there are stuff, and the biggest myth and the biggest pack of lies we've ever been sold is that alcohol makes us fun, because it does.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. That's amazing. And you mentioned your daughters there, so tell us how old your daughters are now, and what difference did it make to your relationship with them when you stopped drinking?
Well, my eldest is 25, my youngest is 23, and it's made a huge difference to them. even though, you know, they're grown up now, but they still need mum. We have a good social life. Myself and my eldest bought me tickets to go and see Pink this year, which was lovely, which she never would have done had I been drinking, because she just wouldn't have done it. So you know, we've spent some time together. We meet up regularly. If they need anything, I'm there. My youngest one, she still lives at home, but it just that they know what mum they're going to get, and they know that they got mum who's reliable, and they got mum who's a good laugh, and we do stuff, and we go out and we enjoy each other's company now, whereas before it was always a little bit strained, but that's all gone, all gone.
That's so good. And so when your daughter got you tickets for Pink, I think your daughter went with you, right? So she didn't just buy you the tickets and say off you go.
I actually thought that she was bringing me along because she wanted to go, but when we got there, she said, "I don't know the words to any of these songs," and I said, "I thought, but you wanted to come to see Pink." She said, "No, Mum, I bought it for you." And I was like, "Wow, okay," you know. But our relationship has completely changed, completely improved. And recently I was on holiday with my husband, and I said it'd be great if the kids came along. So I dropped them a message in the family WhatsApp chat and said, "Who fancies coming away for a week somewhere hot and sunny next year?" And they both said yes, which is great. I didn't ever said I was going to pay for it, but hey, you know, with all that money I've saved from that I don't spend on alcohol anymore, there's a pretty good chance that could happen. So
yeah, that's a nice validation, right? That your adult kids want to spend time with you. I think
yeah,
that's a lot. And so I'm trying to remember, Siobhan, when we started working together. So obviously you were in Upgraded Life. At some point, like I could see how you were like inspiring other people, and you know, like you've got a great way of connecting with different people, and you're very, very honest and you're funny. Tell me a bit about what was it like for you when you started, like when you came back into the main group and started supporting each other people. How long had you been alcohol free for at that point, and what was that like?
I had been alcohol free for a year. It was just over a year ago that I started doing that, and I felt enormously, what is the word? Proud is one word. Privileged is the word I was looking for, because I still, you know, obviously I don't want to drink ever again, but it's how to pass it on to people that this process works, that this process it requires a bit of work and support, and it's the right support, and being able to provide that support and saying, "I was in your shoes. I know exactly where you're coming from. I know how you feel, and I know how to help you make those changes and instill these changes for you to do the same, and for them to be the best possible version of themselves." I think that is the most tremendous thing to be able to do. And I absolutely love working with the Just the Tonic group and seeing the transformation of people from their welcome call in week 1, week 2, and then all the way through to the, you know, through the 30-day breakthrough, the wins, the wobbles, the challenges, the celebrations, all of that is just the most fantastic thing to be able to do.
That's brilliant. So I guess like once you're alcohol free for a year, sometimes we can forget a little bit about what it was like. Right now, I feel like I've got really good memories I probably wouldn't want to have about like how awful it felt the next day. But there's a lot of things that we can forget about. Did you feel that when you came back to the main group, did it help you? Did it help you remember what it's like in the early days?
Yes. I mean, it's not a permanent reminder that, you know, I don't need to have, but what it reinforces the work that I've done, and that's what so it reinforces my beliefs about alcohol, that it's not something that I want to entertain in my life. that, you know, but it's how to get that message across, because by being preachy and saying, gosh, this is really bad for you, that doesn't work, because we all know it's really bad for us. But it's how to get that message across, and it's how to break the little routines, the habits, the triggers, the associations, and being able to pass that message on, that that's what they are. They're associations, they're triggers, they're things that we don't have to live with for the rest of our lives. But by making the small changes, we can remove alcohol from our lives and bring better things in, improve the stuff, and keep it going, and keep doing the maintenance, and keep doing the maintenance work. And that's what Upgraded Life has done for me with the maintenance, but also by being able to coach these fabulous people from Just the Tonic.
That's brilliant. And so when you think about your life now, right, versus a couple of years ago, it's obviously quite different. Did you think it would be like this when you weren't when you first started?
I didn't know what it was going to be like. I really didn't, because I've never looked at other people and think, gosh, I wish I was like them, because it's just not me. You know, I want to be what I want to be. And I've always been quite stubborn about that. And so I had no idea what it was going to be like. I had no idea about how big a change and how big an impact taking alcohol has made to my life. The relationship with my children, I knew that was, damaged, but not irreparable. My husband, I think I'll write to the Pope and get him a sainthood, because he's put up with an awful lot too, and having that support around me in order to make the change. But I don't know what it was I'd envisioned, but I didn't think it was. I had no idea it was going to be as good as this. To be honest with you, everything needs work. Everything needs, we all have to go out and earn a living, and we all have to do a job. But it's how taking alcohol out makes it not bearable. It's enjoyable. It brings things to life. The sun doesn't shine every day. We live in the UK, for goodness sake. But everything is brighter. Everything is lighter. Everything is easier. That's just it. Life is so much easier when you take alcohol out.
Yeah. I'm loving your energy. And then last question I want to ask you is, if somebody's listening to this, or they're reading it in the website or wherever they come across it, and they're thinking, what, that woman Siobhan, she sounds like me, right? That's how much I'm drinking right now. But I'm worried about, like, is this going to be really hard? Is my drinking that bad? Like, if you could speak to them, if they're thinking about, like, getting in touch or booking a call, what would you say to them?
Make the call. Get in touch. Do it. Because if you're stuck, if you don't make the call, you will stay stuck. You won't ever know of the opportunity in order to make the change. But if you start to make the change, if you make the call, there is work to be done, but it's not huge. It's the modules are 5 minutes a day. The group calls, there's a couple of them a week. Everyone is so supportive. Everybody encourages. Everybody uplifts. And and even when it's a bit of a struggle, the whole group and the mindset calls and the modules help to unpick the beliefs that have been ingrained in us for years and years and years. And I was drinking for well over 20 years. It's something I grew up with, but I made the call, and the change is huge. The change is possible. Anything is possible, but unless you make the call, you'll never know. So make the call.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Siobhan. Lovely to speak with you. Thanks for sharing. It's been a real pleasure working with you. I'm excited about the next 2 years.
So am I. I'm so excited that we can do this for so many people. And I've lost count of how many people they've been through since I started helping a year ago. But long may it continue. That's what I say.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you.
Cheers.